now, from the mean streets of Essex, England, this is Whatcast.
Oh, here we are. Hello, this is Whatcast. I'm Matt, and I'm here with Paranormal Lay this week. All right, Pazza?
Yeah, I'm good. Pazza, Stevie know this. Do you know,
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
You go on, carry on.
We call, sorry, Stevie and Emma's friend, Pazza.
Pazza.
Her surname's Parry, but we call her Pazza.
All right, well, you're Pazza today, as in paranormal Pazza Lay. Sorry, yeah. Pazza.
You get it. How far are we into this podcast?
I know what you want. So this week on Whatcast, we're going to be talking about Sallie House. It's... I've got Wurzel Gummidge to play.
Yeah, what are you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
So we've got... I had to find someone saying Sally, so I just went to the Gummidge of Wurzel. Why not? That's all I could remember. And we're going to be doing Sallie House this week. We're going to be getting into it pretty quick, so nobody has to say.
Don't even on topic yet.
No one has to say. No one will have to hit us with that in the complaints this week. So we're going to be jumping into topic. So, but we're going to do topic first. What we're going to do is we've got like this Sallie House, the haunted house. We're going to be watching. We've both watched this documentary already, but I'm going to put it on a little bit faster speed, and we're kind of going to have a bit of a watch along and reaction to it. We're going to stop it here and there to have a chat about it. We'll probably talk bollocks quite a lot of the time when we don't stop it, just to sort of take the piss out of it and stuff, and see what they're saying and what the story is about. I noticed this. I was watching the documentary, and I started taking notes, and I couldn't take notes fast enough. And I thought, you know what? Yeah. I'm just writing down everything he's saying, so I might as well just let him say it. And I'll just talk about it. Like, it's just easier. So if you're listening to this, don't worry. It's a bit of a documentary. It's about 30 minutes, so I'll cut it down to about 22 or something like that. Obviously, it'll got to last longer than that because we'll be talking, keep pausing it to talk and stuff. But you don't really need to see it. They explain the story on it, and that's how we know that you'll be all right. But if you are watching this on YouTube, which I would stress that you do, because I'm trying to really grow on YouTube at the moment, then you'll get more out of it, put it that way, if you do that. So I don't know why I'm down here now as well. There's a lot of weird stuff going on at the moment on here because I'm a bit all over the place with what I'm actually supposed to be doing here. I've just brought up another window that I don't want, so I can get that out of there. We've got a new system here. I've got a new studio that I'm still getting used to. So bear with us. Hopefully it will come out all right. It all looks a lot better, but it's just the little niggling things that I haven't quite worked out yet. But hopefully it'll all be all right. So before we get into the topic, obviously, we are a totally independent podcast, and obviously we need your support to keep going. Thank you for the new Patreons this month. There was Serena in Australia, and there was someone else that was earlier in the week. Let me just look up so I don't forget anybody. 2 people have joined this week, and the new members will come up here. Serena McManus and Michael with no surname. Joined this week, so thanks for joining. You will get all the benefits now of all the deep dives on there, all the after shows, all of the 8s of the weeks and all that malarkey, and thank you for your support. We really do need it, especially with the cost of all this stuff going up all the time, which has happened to me this week with this ridiculous StreamYard double the price twaddle that they're doing. If you don't want to commit to that, there's another way that you can support the show, and that is buymeacoffee.com/whatcast. So if you don't want to go to patreon.com/whatcast to get all them extra shows, you can do the buy me a coffee option and just give us a little beer here and there to support and give us a little message of support, so as we know that we're appreciated, because we need it, because we're quite needy, aren't we, Lee, on here?
We are, yeah. I'm really needy.
Yeah, so by the end of the show, at the end of the show, we'll be doing all of the usual. I've got the dilemma, I've got and all of the feedback and everything, and the hate of the week will be over on Patreon once we're done here for the week. Have you got a hate this week, Lee?
Yeah, I have actually.
I hate when people don't get on with the topic.
Don't even on topic yet.
Yeah, I've got a hate.
So have I got a really annoying hate. Something's been really pissing me off for a couple of weeks. I can't believe that we said we wouldn't try and swear on this. I think we've probably swore loads already. That won't do us much good on the old tube of you. But anyway, so let's get straight into the topic then, just to stop all this complaining. So what we're going to do, I'm going to bring up this other screen here so we can watch this. And it will explain the situation. You're going to have to let me know that you can hear this, Lee. If you can't hear it, then I really don't know what to say. There's going to be another problem that I'm going to have to solve. But you should be able to, right? I don't want to watch the program down there. Right, so let's get that off. And let's bring this up. Right, there we go. So we can watch this here. And let's start.
The exact date
Can you hear that?
appears to be
Yep.
You can, yeah?
Yep.
lost to time. But at some point in the mid-1800s, in the dead of night, Dr. Charles Finney, a medical practitioner living in Atchison, Kansas, heard a loud knock on his door. He cautiously opened it to find a woman, clearly distressed and holding her 6-year-old daughter in her arms. The young girl was in an incredible amount of pain. Dr. Finney realised that the girl's appendix was about to rupture and quickly took her to his operating room that was located in the basement of his home. Unfortunately, in his haste to help the girl, he incorrectly administered the wrong amount of anaesthetic. The girl died on his operating table.
Hey, what you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
He was a great doctor, wasn't he?
I know. He incorrectly diagnosed, like he gave the wrong... So what was doctors back then, when this happened? Well, no one knows the date, this bloke just said.
No.
So what were doctors back then? Because they, someone's knocked on his door with a kid in pain, and he said appendicitis, and gave her the wrong, what do you call it? Anaesthetic. The wrong amount of anaesthetic and actually killed her, right?
Yeah.
So was doctors back then like jack of all trades? Because I couldn't go to my GP and get anaesthetic.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I think they was. They literally done everything and found out. I think this is the way like surgeons come about as well. Because this video, they thought he's a useless piece. As beep.
You don't have to. I think we've already screwed that.
Yeah.
Me and Lee was going to attempt to not swear on this episode. I don't think it's. I don't know how many times we've sworn, but yeah, let's watch on anyway. We don't even know what's happened yet in the old Aunt Sallie house.
Hey, what you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
Screaming in pain as he cut into her. This is the widely spread origin story of one of the most infamous haunted houses in all of America, the Sallie House.
Hey, what you doing
But while
down
it makes for
there,
a creepy
Aunt
tale,
Sally?
it most likely isn't true, or at least there's no evidence.
Did they just say most likely it isn't true? What are you telling
Yeah.
it for then, mate?
Yeah.
This is an infamous story that isn't true. It's just said. By the way, I've got to say this. This is the tape library. This is where I've got this from. So I've got to give them a shout out. This is their original stuff. We are just going to talk all over it and do our own thing with it. That's good. But I've just given them credits. I've ticked a few boxes there. Don't care if they live or die, really.
It is true. There are some elements that are, though. Charles Finney was a medical practitioner that lived in the house. In fact, the house was built some years before the story is said to take place, by a MC Finney. The house remained in the possession of the Finney family for years, and a number of them passed away within its walls. But there are no records that suggest a small...
Well, they went in the walls to die.
Oh no, yeah. They went in the walls and died.
They died within those walls. What? That's every single body was found in between two bits of brick next to the window.
girl named Sallie was ever treated there, or lived there. But maybe these encounters with spirits that so many people claim to experience aren't the lost souls of the dead at all. Maybe they are manifestations of something else.
What the fuck is that?
She looks like she's doing lips.
Is that her? That's not the Sally that I remember.
Hey, what you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
That's what I'd say if I saw her.
In this episode of the Tape Library, we're going to be visiting the Sallie House and going over the terrifying experiences of the Pickman family and their shocking, violent encounters with something that appeared to be sharing their home with them. In the early 90s, Tony and Deborah Pickman moved into 508 North 2nd Street. What followed?
I just want to point out that like, I've got this on high speed and this bloke's still talking really slow.
Yeah.
So you would never know that I've turned the speed up, would you?
I must
508. Look how they've written the number on there.
Yeah.
5 and then a 0 and then the word 5, then a 0, then the word 8. You're going, what was you going to say?
No, I was say when I first started listening to it today, I thought to myself, "This guy is he trying to put on a spooky voice?"
He was, yeah. Oh, I've got to get to the spooky sounds. I didn't want to get away from Aunt Sally there, but you've got to do this this one on this show.
Was one of the most well-documented hauntings of all time. A big part of this
I've never heard of it.
was due to the TV series Sightings, who carried out numerous investigations into what they referred to as the Heartland Ghost. Because of this, there are visual examples of many of the phenomena the family encountered during their 2 years living in the Sallie House. I'll link to the Sightings episode in the description if you want to watch these clips in full. I'm going to go over some of the most notable incidents in Deborah and Tony's time in the home. There are so many encounters they describe. I strongly recommend delving into some interviews with the couple if you want to learn even more. But here we go. Deborah was from Buffalo originally. She's always had an interest in the paranormal, but never experienced anything personally in her younger years. The two met in Kansas and bought the house in Atchison together when they were expecting their first child. Tony did not have any interest in the paranormal, though he was raised as a Catholic.
What's that got to do with it?
Exactly what I thought. I thought, yeah, he's raised as a Catholic. Does that mean he's got
He had no interest in the paranormal, but he was raised as a Catholic. Like that somehow mitigates the no interest in the paranormal bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had, it's like saying that this bloke had no interest in the colour blue, but he did own a Ferrari. Nothing to do with it. Is it?
No.
And like his wife, was she like a bit of a ghost person then? And who would get together with this conversation? Would you be like, would you and your wife sit there and you'd like one of the ways you'd describe your wife is she had no interest in the paranormal.
Yeah, she's not Catholic and she had no interest in the paranormal.
Yeah, she's got a good sense of humour. She's into her music and she's got no interest in the paranormal. It's not something you'd say to describe someone, is it? But that's how they've described this bloke. But he looks like he's got no interest in pulling himself a nice bird either.
It all started fairly innocently. Everything seemed fine when they moved in.
Why do they keep going to this random tape spinning around?
Oh no, yeah.
I love the way they say everything seemed fine when they moved in, like it somehow wouldn't for everyone else.
Everything is gonna seem fine when you first move in a place.
Yeah, I know. It all seemed fine. Everything was fine. There wasn't ectoplasm flying at me when I first entered the house. Everything was all right.
But within a month of being in the property, they started to hear odd noises. Lights would flicker or dim. There were strange occurrences, but nothing that jumped out at them as specifically paranormal. Lights would dim while they were sat there watching TV multiple times a night. The chains on their ceiling fans would spin even when the fan wasn't on.
Well, that's fairly paranormal. Like if you were sitting there watching telly every night and the lights kept dimming, and you'd probably think, no, I've not lived here long. Could be an electrical problem in the area. Yeah. But if the ceiling fan chain starts spinning around randomly, you'd be a little bit, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Definitely. You wouldn't still think, oh yeah, that's there's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
And this is when the conversation happened. She said to him, have you got any interest in the paranormal? And he went, none whatsoever, but I am a Catholic.
It would look like someone was almost flicking them. Again, nothing that they felt couldn't be explained as the wind or electrical issues.
The wind?
Yeah, because the chains were spinning.
Yeah, but what was it, a tornado then? Why would they spin?
Where they live, Texas!
Yeah, exactly. Did you reckon they spun, Greta?
How dare you!
Shut up, bitch!
Oh, that's enough of her.
Contacted the landlord, but could never find any electrical problems in the house. The baby would wake up often in the night. Every time he'd fall asleep in his nursery,
This bit pissed me off.
he'd almost immediately wake up again crying. Obviously not an uncommon thing for a young child, but the lack of sleep quickly started to become a drain on the Pickmans. Deborah's sister came to visit to help with the sleeping pattern. She took the baby downstairs and the baby slept through the night with no issues.
And I bet the sister gave it the big one after that. Like, that really annoyed me. Though. Yeah, it sleeps for me. You're obviously a crap mum. That's what the sister was saying. This is what I don't understand when people talk about ghosts, though. Like, the sisters come over to sleep and the baby's not been disturbed. Why would the ghost care that there was another human there?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to play up tonight. I might get told off by that woman.
If my sister went, could you come over and get the baby to sleep? Because I think I've got a ghost in the house. I'll go, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, do you reckon they told them?
Don't know.
The reason.
Did they even know they had a ghost in the house at this point? Because everything seemed fine.
Everything seemed fine. And he was a Catholic, so they couldn't have had a ghost.
The sleep disruptions only seemed to happen when the baby was alone in the nursery. One night, Tony walked past the nursery and noticed the light was on, which was strange as the couple had only just gotten home. Sat in the centre of the floor were 3 of their baby stuffed animals, positioned sat up and in a circle. Tony went back down to talk to Deborah and her sister, who said they hadn't moved any toys, so they went back up and looked for any explanation, but couldn't find anything. They carefully put the toys back on the shelves, turned the lights out, and went back downstairs. By the time they'd reached the bottom, they had heard the light flick back on. They walked back up. The teddy bears were back on the floor, with the lights on.
That would freak me out.
It would. Yeah. If it's true.
I'll be thinking, are they Toy Story?
Yeah.
Or we got ghosts.
But would you like the way they said they carefully put them back on the shelf? Why do we need to know that? Like, you could have just uncarefully put them on the shelf. Are you saying that you carefully put them on the shelf because you put them on there so carefully that you know there's no way they might have fell off the shelf and all rearranged themselves in a circle on the floor again? Like, what do you mean? Why do you need to explain that?
This would freak me out, though. It would really freak me out.
But
I believe in this stuff.
Well, you're paranormal, Lee, aren't you?
Yeah.
So like you watch videos of this all the time. I think that's drivel, Lee. Why are you sending me that? Like, look at this blur in the background and the shit like that. I am interested in ghosts, though. Yeah, orb. Like me and Lee, but speaking of ghosts, I don't know when this could ever happen, but for the Halloween show, we want to go to Borley Church. Yeah, so I'm not going to guarantee we're going or anything because we might not be able to get there, but I want to go there to do a recording for the Halloween show because Borley Rectory is the most haunted house in the world. It's been demolished. The reason for demolition of this house was it was too haunted to keep there.
Really?
That was the reason. But the church,
the amount of money they could have earned off that.
The church is still there. That like it was a rectory for. So and apparently that's haunted. So I would happily go to the church for Halloween show and do some recording. Might pick up some EVPs there if we go around. Probably
I want
not.
to get a ghost box.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if do they actually work then?
Do you know the ones you get on your mobile phone? There's an app. I think they're twaddle because but I want a proper ghost box.
Yeah, they are twaddle.
You're
right. Right, I'm going to have a bit of a Kit Kat now, so I'll let it play for a bit. In fact, talking bollocks over the top of it. Just raise your hand if you want to interrupt, like, and don't do it immediately thinking it's funny.
God, you know me so well.
This was the first time that something had happened in the house that the couple could not explain. Again, they turned out the lights and went back down. This time the light didn't come back on. But when Deborah went back upstairs 15 minutes later, the teddy bears were on the floor again, in the darkened nursery.
What are they doing that time? Have they just been trick-or-treating or something? They've got a lot of sweets in front of them.
Yeah, I know, yeah. They started having a tea party.
Teddy bear's picnic.
Let's get some Haribo.
They all stayed in the master
Get some what?
Haribo.
That's what it was, wasn't it?
bedroom together that night, with the family dog standing guard, and the door tightly closed. Speaking of their dog, it did not like entering the nursery, and was often found standing in the doorway, barking at seemingly nothing.
Go on then, Lee. Give me your drivel about dogs no more than us.
No, I believe that dogs feel a higher vibration to spirits than what we do, because they're more sensitive. Same with kids. Kids feel a higher vibration as well.
Why? Kids are still human.
Yeah, I know, but it's just the frequencies, isn't it? Like Claire Broad speaks about frequencies and vibrations. So it's like kids are more sensitive to higher frequencies and higher vibrations, and I think pets are like just as sensitive to that as well. I think all animals are, because they're not like animals
What about
are
slugs?
not slugs. Yes, definitely.
What about
That's
snails
one.
that chase you everywhere trying to kill you?
How about ants? Do you reckon they got a sixth sense that a
Yeah, I
boiling
think they
hot
have.
kettle is going to
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't ever predict that, do they? Oh, what are these high vibrations I'm getting? I must run out of this nest immediately and attack that enormous person. Oh, here comes boiling water. Wish I hadn't listened to my instincts. But they just said about this dog. They goes, oh, the dog was the family dog. Well, he's not even American, is it? They're all doing that. The family dog would stand guard. And I thought, yeah, right, bit funny. I was going to have a bit of a laugh about that. And then he said, but it wouldn't go in the... So it wouldn't even go in the room with a ghost in. So why are they trusting that dog to be a guard dog?
Yeah.
Right, let's play on.
From this point on, things started to escalate. Tony would hear footsteps running up and down the stairs at night. This happened often, and he was sure it was just their cats running around. One night, after being kept awake by the running, he went to the stairs to catch the cats and stop them.
Why?
But they weren't there. Tony looked down the dark stairwell and heard the running quickly approaching him. He then described what he felt was like a cold wind run through his body, and then the unmistakable laughter of children. One day, Tony was lying there having an afternoon nap, and suddenly he sat up, looked Deborah in the eye and said,
"He's mine."
and then laid back down straight away. This happened early in the haunting, and at the time Deborah assumed Tony was having some sort of dream. Another morning, the family photos that were on the walls down the stairs were found placed upside down.
Are they saying that Tony got possessed?
Yeah.
Like at Derek Acora?
Eric. Yeah. I think that's what they're saying. Like demonic possession is, I believe it's a real thing.
Please elaborate, and I'll stifle my laughter.
It was the look when I said that. It was like, it was just that
Oh, I'm
look.
laughing so much. Oh, mate. Yeah, go on. Tell me more about demonic possession.
No, I've got to try and be serious here.
Oh, no. Go on.
No, I believe there's like bad entities on this earth. No, I was watching a documentary.
I sort of do. I don't know why I'm finding this funny. I think it's because of
Yeah.
your serious tone. I'm sort of like, I'm sort of with you on the entity. Well, I've heard stuff and it's made me like think twice.
Yeah.
Not Celine Dion, but
No. No, but I do believe in demonic possession because, like, you just hear so many stories of it. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got no evidence myself, but I've just seen documentaries. I've heard loads of stories about demonic possession. So yeah, that's why I think
that's your evidence. I've just heard it. I've got no evidence of it. I just believe it.
It's like being a flat earther, really.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I've just heard the Earth is flat, so I've just watched a load of twaddle on the socials, and now I'm a flat earther.
Exactly.
But you enjoy the taste of my salty nuts as I teabag you.
That's the king of flat earth there.
down the wall, with the glass cracked on one of them. Candles would randomly be melted. In one case, the candle hadn't even been unwrapped. It was still coated in what was now a melted plastic wrapper. On the candle, they saw what appeared to be a small handprint in the wax. What was interesting was that the wick was not burned. It was just as if something hot had been pressed against the wax of the
Do you reckon the wife said to Tony at this point, this is interesting, look, the wick hasn't been burnt? And he went, I got no interest in paranormal, to be honest with you. I am a
I'm
Catholic.
Candle. It wasn't long before the couple started to reach out for help, which ultimately led to the crew at Sightings visiting the property. While they appeared to be skeptical about the whole thing to begin with, the team became so fascinated by the family stories and captured such compelling evidence that they would return time after time to get updates on the case. Initially, during the Sightings investigations, the family's identity was kept hidden, particularly Tony's, who didn't want anyone to know it was him who was experiencing this. It was only after numerous investigations by the team that they were willing to disclose their identity. There would be random small isolated fires that would appear throughout the house, like sudden shots of flames that would appear and disappear in an instant.
It's like a podcast.
One time during a family party, a doll was found on the stairs in flames. The way it had been burned, it appeared that the fire only affected specific areas of the doll, almost like the flame had come from the inside to the out.
A spontaneously combusting doll.
Yeah.
Got there in this story.
Yeah, I don't believe in spontaneously combusting anymore.
No.
I've never heard of anyone that spontaneously combusts.
What about...
They've never told me anyway.
No.
The other day, Matt, I spontaneously combusted.
Yeah, I did as well. And this doll...
Out my arse.
After that curry.
Yeah.
The damage done to the Pickmans' belongings through these fires were really bizarre. They weren't seeing uncontrollable fire. The damage appeared to be extremely targeted, and somehow only able to damage specific parts of an object. This phenomenon was even captured by the Sightings team during their investigations. Tony became convinced that whatever was doing this could potentially create a fire that, if unnoticed, could burn down the house, or even more unsettling,
Well, of course
that
it
if
could.
whatever
It
this
set
was,
fire to a doll.
waking up their baby, could set the cot on fire. The family that lived there before the Pickmans also reported unexplainable fires in the home, including seeing the window frame of their nursery on fire. Deborah became convinced they were dealing with the spirit of a little girl who was desperately trying to get their attention.
That bloke is like the paranormal investigators entered the picture here now, for those of you that can't watch it. This bloke, like, he's got the whitest hair I've ever seen and the blackest moustache I've ever seen. How does that even work? Yeah, I don't like the fact that I'm looking a bit old. I think I'm going to get a bit of Grecian 2000 on my moustache here. What about your hair, mate? No, that's fine. Why would you do that? But he's about to do a bit of a Derek Acora act here, so let's listen to this.
A suggestion that was backed up by the mediums the Sightings team brought, who claimed they could see a little girl.
There's a little girl that's standing right there. Right at the top of the stairs. Hello?
This bit really pissed me off, right? If there's a little girl standing at the top of the stairs, why is he in clear view of the stairs, pointing and whispering to that woman like the girl can't see him, telling the woman that she's at the top of the stairs?
The girl's from another dimension and he thinks whispering will keep it a secret.
Hello? Look. Hello? Can you speak to me? Sally? Is that your name, Sally? Sally? Okay.
The family and our Sightings investigative team were amazed that Peter James had correctly named the entity.
Hey, what you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
Brought in a psychic to the home, who said that there was in fact the spirit of a little girl in the house, and that she just wanted to be part of the family. More specifically, she said she wanted to protect the Pickman's baby son. If you've been listening to the tape library for a while, you might notice the unsettling similarity to another famous paranormal case we've covered here. This is almost exactly what the entity wanted to do in the Annabelle case. It wanted permission to be part of their lives. Deborah felt comforted by this, and felt the urge to nurture the spirit that would later become known as Sally. But for Tony, something about it didn't feel right to him. He felt uneasy in his own home. But it seems Sallie was much more interested in getting Tony's attention, and not in a positive way. One night, Deborah came out of the shower to find Tony complaining. "She bit me." Sure enough, on Tony's leg was a bite mark. This was the first instance.
It's always there's never both of them in the room at the same time when any of this stuff happens. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and have a shower, right? Okay. What Sallie story can I make up while she's in there?
Yeah. Oh, that bird I was banging a week ago bit me on the leg, so I better blame it on Sallie.
Yeah. Oh God, Sallie just come in the room. You never guess what she said. What did she say? She said this.
I ain't on topic yet.
Incident of whatever was in that house causing physical harm towards Tony. But it certainly wouldn't be the last. It wasn't long after this that the scratches would start. Tony would often find deep red scratch marks on his body. Some would bleed. Others would be accompanied by sharp pain. Some would appear without any pain at all. Whatever was in their home had certainly appeared to take a disliking to Tony Pickman. Tony came home from his night shift one morning and got a glass of juice from the kitchen. He turned around to see a little girl standing at the entrance to the basement door. She wore what he described as an old white outfit, the sort of thing a little girl might have worn to church in the previous century.
In Victorian times, possibly.
I knew that was coming.
She was wearing the Victorian school uniform. What a surprise. Just like every other ghost in existence.
It looks like the ugliest little girl in the world, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, if I saw her, I'd be like, if you pipe me again, you're losing your fucking teeth. And then she go, I'm a ghost, piss off. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
She stared at him. She looked terrified. Tony froze. It was only the realization that he could partially see through her that snapped Tony out of his almost trance-like state. He dropped his glass and ran upstairs to find Deborah. Tony later drew an image of the girl. Interestingly, previous residents of the Sallie House
like her.
claimed they had an imaginary friend while living in the house as a child. When they saw Tony's picture, they immediately recognised the girl as their imaginary friend.
So far, if you're only listening to this and you're not watching along with this on the Tube Review, which I suggest you do, Whatcast, YouTube, go subscribe, go watch, like everything, comment on everything. It's really important. Right, anyway, enough plugging. This picture that I've now drawn of Sallie, right, is like of a cutie little girl with a bow in her hair and great big eyes and all that, rosy cheeks.
Yeah.
Whereas up to this point, every time they've been depicting Sallie as an entity, it's been demonic and horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And suddenly they present this like it's the same thing.
They've gone really to the effort of actually giving her a shading as well, like her hair and her cheeks.
Who did they say drew this, by the way?
The guy, the bloke.
Well, the dad.
The dad.
This is what bit him, yeah?
Yeah.
She called her Sallie. Other times, Tony saw what he thought was Deborah walking past him in the hall. It looked exactly like her, except she appeared to be wearing an old housemaid's outfit with her hair in a bun. But Tony is adamant that whoever this was had Deborah's face. He'd follow her into a room, only for the apparition to disappear. As we've already discussed, there is no evidence to suggest that there was a child named Sallie who died in that house. Tony saw more than one apparition in this house. Could whatever is residing in that house be taken on the form of others? A small child, Tony's loved ones, to lower their guard, to seem innocent, harmless, but deep down its intentions were much more nefarious. The possibility of this is potentially backed up by the next encounter Tony had. Tony was now hearing
Nighttime Visits, this chapter's called, coming up. Right?
Yeah.
So they're suggesting this ghost might not have been this little girl Sallie. It might have been just a demonic entity that pretends to be other things.
Do you reckon they sang that song to her?
What?
Sally.
What,
Who
Mustang
the fuck
Sally?
is Sally? Yeah.
That's not Sally, is it? Alice, that is.
Yeah, but we can say Sally.
You could have just said Mustang Sally if you wanted a Sally song. Right?
Mustang Sally!
Sounds like cognitive dissonance to me, mate.
Hearing scratching in the walls when he laid in bed. He said it often sounded like 6 or 7 people were inside the walls, whispering, but he could never make out what was being said. One night he said he was laying in bed, at the foot of the bed.
Right, there's something I can't make up, but there's whispering going on there. If that's an actual recording, I can tell you exactly what they just said. I deciphered that as they were saying it, right? She said, one of them said to the other one, I don't think he's into the paranormal. And the other one said back, yeah, but he's a Catholic.
There was a window. He saw what looked like dust particles blowing past the window. But gradually the particles grew darker and larger. It drifted towards the bed and slowly took the form of what appeared to be a woman. An older lady, all dressed in black. She floated towards Tony. The drawers on either side of the bed were slamming open and shut. The waterbed that Tony was laying on was flopping around like crazy. He couldn't scream. The woman got closer and closer. Her arm shot out and reached for Tony's throat. The woman yells,
I'm gonna.
as she reaches for his neck.
Butch
Then
woman.
suddenly Tony saw what looked like a giant black bird. The woman was gone. All the furniture stopped rocking instantly. Tony started screaming for Deborah, desperately trying and failing to open the door. Deborah was across the hall with the baby. She didn't hear a thing except for Tony yelling. A case of sleep paralysis? As an individual incident, it certainly seems to be the case. But when combined with all the other phenomena taking place in the house, it becomes a little harder to discount.
Thinks that is sleep
Tony was beginning
paralysis
to fear for his
symptoms.
Yeah.
This wasn't the only nighttime visit of a shape-shifting creature that Tony would experience. Tony also saw something that appeared to be the little girl approaching his bed again in the dead of night. The girl reached out for him a number of times, but Tony kept resisting. Suddenly the girl let out what sounded like a growl. Then it began to transform into something else. Something on all fours. Hunched over.
Is
With
that
worms
actually a picture of it?
hanging off its melted flesh.
It looks like an elephant with its tongue out.
Yeah. No,
it doesn't really. I've seen the face now. That looks like that bit looked like a trunk to me. And that was the eye on the side. But now I'm looking at it, that's a head and that's arms, isn't it?
I can see where you get that. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And it's one of them things. What do you say first? Are you right-brained or left-brained?
Yeah.
Bored is what I am.
Each time the sightings crew would come to visit, the phenomena Tony was experiencing would get worse. The scratches, the visions, the sounds. Each visit from the crew would make things worse for Tony. The
It's
crew
all
would check
happening to
for
Tony.
scratches any time he was going to be left alone, like if he went to the bathroom, just to make sure he wasn't doing them to himself. Many members of the sightings team were skeptical of the whole thing,
Oh, yeah, I remember this bit.
but then saw scratches appearing on Tony, right before their eyes.
New welts began to form on Jeff's stomach. Then, I was shocked to see mysterious welts forming on his forehead.
Question. They've called him Tony the whole way through, and they just called him Jeff on that video.
Did they?
New welts started to form on Jeff's stomach. So they just used a different bloke there and claimed it was Tony.
Yeah.
So Jeff actually was getting haunted somewhere.
That was a bit of a fuck up of him, wasn't it?
I think so. I'm not going to go back, but you can if you're listening. Just tell me if I'm right.
The initials MC were scratched onto Tony's body on camera while the sightings crew were filming.
MC, he was a DJ.
MC.
A strange coincidence, since the house itself was built by a Michael C. Finney. They apparently have a 9-minute clip of a scratch slowly appearing on Tony's torso. Just as a warning before we get into the next section, there are some descriptions of violent impulses, and more specifically animal cruelty. If you want to skip this part, then please do so.
Should we skip this part?
Tony said he turned into a different person. He would hear voices saying horrible things, such as telling him to kill Deborah. In the final months, when Deborah would walk past him, he'd be overcome with an intense urge to harm her in some way. An urge to get her out of the way, as he said. If he left the house, he felt fine. A dark anger was overtaking him in this house.
Do you reckon they'd be in the middle of a demonic argument and he's like, Ed'd be spinning round and shit. He'd go, I want to need you out the way. And then she'd go, oh, calm down a minute. He'd go, all right, just come outside to the garden. We'll have a normal conversation because when I leave the house, I'm fine.
Vivid dreams of cutting her throat with a butcher's knife when she would come home from work. One morning he woke up full of hateful thoughts. He went into the kitchen, took out a butcher's knife, saw their pet cat in the kitchen, and blacked out. Later that day, he was at his parents' house. He returned back to the family home to find the cat stabbed with a knife and pinned to the kitchen counter. Tony says he has no memory of harming the cat, but is sure he must have done it, a fact that still haunts him to this day. This alongside his dark...
Well, the cat's haunting him now. He's not having a good day, is he? The cat's still haunting him to this day. Sally's buggered off, but he's got a cat. I ain't got a cat sound. I do used to have.
That's why he's got those fucking scratches on him. It's the cat.
That's a good explanation.
Yeah.
The scratches was just a cat. Other than on Jeff, he was getting actual scratches from a ghost, but it weren't this bloke.
Thoughts towards Deborah are something that he's obviously deeply ashamed of, but he says he speaks about it to make people aware just how disturbing hauntings like this can be. There was a darkness in their home, whether literally the result of a ghost or something more psychological, that was transforming Tony into someone he didn't recognise. Tony did seek out psychological help, but nothing clinical appeared to be wrong with him. The only way he could be free of these violent impulses was to get out of this house.
Probably every one of your television viewers ask is, why do you stay here? Why don't you just get out?
This was weird.
What holds you there? Curiosity. There needs to be more data so that we can know what exactly this is, what causes it. Why do these things happen to certain people, certain places, certain times?
Tony tried to talk to Deborah about how bad things were getting. She was so excited.
Yeah, I reckon they had quite a few, brother, because they've decided finally to do something about it after him getting literally beaten half to death by Sally.
Yeah,
I think we should take this seriously now.
Yeah, they said it's the final straw, and I'm like, well, they've obviously run out of straws.
It's a bit like God, isn't it, when you think about it? Like, because people that are deeply religious, like they claim that God, if you believe in God, if you accept Jesus Christ as your saviour, or whatever they say, right, then you'll go to heaven. So maybe, like, and Christians will spend their entire life trying to convert everyone because it's the good, you need to do it. And like even at hospitals, they send people round when you're dying and say, do you want to, finally convert before, and then you can go to heaven and all this sort of stuff. Well, maybe Sally the ghost was trying to convert him to be interested in the paranormal. and as soon as he was, she'll leave him alone.
Yeah, I think so.
He should never have said he had no interest in the paranormal around her.
Yeah, because I'm Catholic.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she was a Christian ghost. It's nothing to do with him not liking the paranormal. She just didn't like his religious persuasion.
Yeah.
Excited and fascinated about the entire thing. She wasn't experiencing any of the negative aspects of the haunting. She says that her reactions now don't make any sense to her, but at the time she was so wrapped up in the entire thing that she was almost blind to the effects it was having on her husband. She was completely naive to the very real danger it appears she was in. One day, Tony was thrown into the rungs at the top of the stairs, breaking several of them, as if something was attempting to throw him over the banister and down the stairs. For some reason, this was the incident that made Deborah realise that things weren't right.
Well spotted, Deborah!
Yeah.
He's been beaten to death by a ghost forever. Finally, someone tries to chuck him over the banisters, and she said, you know what, this ain't right. As if the bears, the final straw. The bears arranging themselves in a picnic every day. That was all right. The lights swinging about, the fan things spinning around, the demonic voice in the middle of the night, the dead cat, and everything else that happened. And finally, him running into the banisters upstairs. This is it. I've had enough now. I think we need to do something about this.
Yeah.
I reckon, because she was never in the room with him when he did this. When this was happening, I reckon potentially she was the ghost. She was just putting a Victorian school uniform on and pretending to be. Deborah, where are you?
She was putting a sheet on with the eyes cut out.
With eyes cut on it, yeah. Just the two holes in it.
They needed to leave. Within 3 weeks, they were out of the house. People would ask them how they stayed so long, but they said they would experience this phenomena, and then it would stop. Months would go past without anything happening.
I wouldn't care.
They'd begin to doubt themselves, thinking maybe it was all in their heads, or whatever was there had left. And then it would start up again. Little waves of paranormal activity that gradually became more and more dark and violent. The basement is said to be a focal point of something within the Sallie House.
It usually
There's
is.
an area in the back where a number of bricks have been removed, leaving a dark hole.
Like if you went into an house with a basement and someone said, guess which is the most haunted room in this house? You wouldn't say bathroom, would you?
No.
You'd say basement.
I think the bathroom is one of probably the safest places in a haunting.
Yeah. Nothing ever happens in there, does it?
No, I'll feel completely safe in the bathroom, or having a shit as well. So, like, nothing. You'd never hear of someone saying, "I saw a ghost while I was having a shit."
No.
Do you?
No, you don't.
So-
Other than Elvis.
Yeah.
He
Do you
might have seen a
reckon-
ghost and had a heart attack because he saw a ghost while he was having a shit.
Yeah.
Because he
But
died on the shitter, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, heart attack or something like that.
Yeah, saw a ghost.
Yeah. So do you think like ghosts go to haunt you, but you've just walked into the bathroom, dropped your cacks,
Yeah.
sat on the shitter, and they thought, disgusting bastard, I can't haunt him while he's having a shit.
Yeah. Like a ghost floats up the stairs and sees another ghost waiting outside the bathroom. What are you waiting for, Sally? Oh, he's having a shit. I can't go in there while he's doing that. Ghosts are like buses.
Tony said he never felt any urge to go down into the basement, and would avoid it as much as possible. After the Pickmans left, a woman moved into the Sallie House. After some time, the landlord was called, and she had apparently been trashing the house. The landlord evicted the woman. After that, he visited the property, and discovered in the basement a number of strange markings and names on the walls. In the middle of the floor, the woman had painted a pentagram. Apparently the woman was very solitary, had few belongings in the house, and it appears was primarily using the property.
What's a pentagram supposed to do, by the way? That's a devil thing, isn't it?
It's the sign of the devil, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I
A
thought.
lot of people get mixed up with Star of David.
They're both drivel, so I can see how.
Whatever ritual.
Quickly, just saying, if I lived in that house, I would screw everything to the walls and floors.
She was going to fucking go on a lad's holiday. I'd screw anything inside. Every hole's a goal.
No standards.
Yeah, that's good. Keep that in mind, because that's just got a good chance of coming up in the dilemma after this.
She was attempting to conduct. Many paranormal researchers and TV shows have investigated the Sallie House, including the popular show Ghost Adventures, in which the host brought Deborah and Tony Pickman back with them to the house.
What did you say? I want to hear your impression of it.
Oh,
Go on.
sounds like fucking Frank Spencer. Oh, what you doing down there, Sally?
And this is the actual version.
Yeah, what you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
Tony claimed that he had heard so many EVPs people had recorded over the years of the voices of little children that he began to feel guilty. Like maybe there wasn't something demonic in this house. Maybe they're just lost children trying to communicate. This led to him returning to the home. Yet again, Tony experienced a whole host of violent interactions, with welts appearing on his neck. Other guests experienced scratches and witnessed odd phenomena. Tony isn't alone here. Many who have visited the Sallie House report, no matter how terrifying their experiences might be inside its walls, a draw to come back, just something in the back of their minds that tells them they need to return. But for what reason?
Wouldn't
There
tell
are
me
countless
that.
examples of video, photographic and audio evidence from the Sallie House. The Sallie House has become one of the major tourist
I don't know what we're meant
destinations.
to see
for
here.
No, I know, but there's apparently a video with all of that on, but I haven't seen it. Let's wrap this up here with this Sallie House.
ghost hunters all across the world. And because of this, there are so many investigations that have taken place within the property.
Like a ball literally rolled half a turn, and that's evidence, allegedly.
What is remarkable is that so many others appear to have had experiences that back up some of what the Pickmans have been talking about. I'm going to leave you with one specific piece of evidence that was recorded during the investigation into the Sallie House. I try not to talk about my own personal beliefs on this channel, but I like to see myself as an optimistic skeptic. I have no evidence for the existence of ghosts.
We don't care.
But part of me really hopes it's true. Additionally, this is a horror channel. I will never knowingly include any false information in the video, but I do take things as much as I can at face value, because I'm telling the stories in the way they were originally reported. As far as evidence of the supernatural goes,
bit of self-promotion there.
I have never heard or seen anything that made me go beyond a, that's strange. EVPs in particular. While I've heard some really creepy ones, part of me always thinks this could be easily faked or could just be a strange sound happening in the distance from a very mundane source. I heard this clip I'm about to play you 2 years ago, and it has never left my mind. The moment I heard it, I froze in my seat.
I reckon it has.
Yeah, I reckon it has as well.
And then played it to anyone I
So
with
you
his
go
missus.
through every day.
Yeah, he's with his
thinking
missus
of
one
it.
night. Yeah, do you fancy an early night? Whatever his bloke's name is. Yeah, all right then.
Yeah.
Oh, are you loving it? You look like it's either a look of pleasure or a look of horror on your face. Which is it? It's horror. I've got that noise in my head permanently. It's never left. Oh, dried me up.
I knew who would be interested. The podcast Astonishing Legends carried out an investigation into the Sallie House back in 2018. Now, it's worth pointing out this podcast, if you're not familiar, generally doesn't do this sort of in-person investigating. They do deep dives into all sorts of unexplained stories and try to prove or disprove it as best they can in a usually grounded and level-headed manner.
Boring.
The recorder in the room quietly left and then returned a few moments later. No audio effects have been added to this file.
Finally get into it. He started talking about
Many
this
who have listened
4
to this
minutes ago.
recording have experienced traumatic sensations.
I ain't on topic yet.
So please do so at your own risk.
Okay, file 10, putting this down, and leave this here for about 5 minutes. If there's anything you want to say, any message you would like to share with the world, leave it on this recorder, and we will share it. Leaving now, closing the door. No one else is in this room this time.
I used to hate this when I had a Spectrum and they took this long for the game to load. I'm being funny. Like, I'll do a lot of audio. I'm not playing that anymore, right? That's done.
Yeah.
I'll do a lot of audio stuff, and that could just be interference from anything.
Yeah.
Not to be too skeptical. Right, okay. Let's get back to us on there. So here we are. Let's assess what we've just watched or what we've just listened to. If you're listening to this, right? So as paranormal Lee,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Is there any credibility to that story? I think it's weird. The scratch thing was weird. The bears, if that was true, the toys rearranging themselves on the floor was weird. The recording at the end was weird.
I think it's like the story could be quite credible because like I do believe that these things do happen, but some things could be faked to make it more dramatized and to make it like if you got a TV crew coming into your house from to shoot a series of a well-known documentary or whatever it is, then you're going to dramatize it a bit, I think, just to get a little.
Yeah, but the story has to be there to begin with for them to be interested in even coming round.
I think so, yeah. But that's why I believe that it could be credible, because if all these things are happening, you wouldn't just make up that, would you? You just wouldn't. You wouldn't make it up. I don't know. Like, yeah, they do, but like these people just seem like normal people. Like, just moved into their home, having a child. Why would you want to disrupt all that for bullshit?
Money.
Yeah, but did they get any money from it? That's the question.
Well, they got us doing a show about them. I think that was probably their real motivation. Actually, we're going to get on Whatcast one day, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think so.
what surprised me about the Ghost Adventures one, like, why didn't the child of that family go there as well? Because after all that,
has Zach Bagans done this?
yeah, Zach Bagans, he did, yeah, Ghost Adventures.
All right. Did you watch that episode then?
No, I think I have seen it. I've seen so many of his episodes that I lost count of what I've seen. But the one that really stands out is the Demon House one that he done.
Yeah, we did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we
But
did one Bagans thing.
This one, I just don't see why they would lie about it. Like, I think some things could be could be took for something that it isn't. Like, I don't know, with like mist coming towards them, like sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of things can be, if you're in that mindset of you're thinking like, my house is haunted, I've got a demon in this house, there's possession going on, things are getting moved about. Your mind is gonna play fucking tricks with you all the time. So you're gonna be hypersensitive to anything slightly paranormal, and could be quite scary. So I think that's the case in most of these stories, where they've got a couple of things that have gone on, and your mind plays tricks with you, because like your mind's is a powerful machine, and I just think like that we can overthink a lot of things.
Is it more powerful than the Spectrum 128K that they was using at the end there of that on that video?
Do you reckon they had to rewind it and then do it again?
Yeah, I do.
Just to make it load.
I think so. Like, I used to hate that when it crashed halfway through.
Yeah.
Right, my assessment, they were lying.
Yeah. Why don't that surprise me?
I don't know if they was completely lying, but I think that they was. This is what I generally think in these sort of cases, right? I think that there's something there. They're a bit suspicious. Weird things are happening. They get a bit freaked out by them.
Yeah.
But then they realise there's interest in it, and then they make the story more interesting.
Yeah. I could agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
But I do think that something probably did go on. Like something happened in that house. Like houses with a lot of history, because that house is quite fucking old.
Yeah.
So houses with a lot of history, with a lot of people have lived in that house down the years. There has to be some sort of residual energy from the past tenants of that house. I sound like a right professional when I said that.
You do. I'm loving it. I'm loving having an expert on the show. PL this week. Right, let's move on then, because we're rapidly running out of time here. So there's our assessment of that story there. But, you know, we've got as usual, we are non-biased on this show. We just tell it how we see it, and we're not here to pander to anybody. But I'll play
There's
this.
no bias.
But also,
so maybe change the subject.
So let's do all the other things. We've got to do a bit of feedback there, as like I promised, and then we've got a dilemma to do, and then we're going to have a bit of a rant on a hate over on Patreon for a minute. Yeah. So feedback then, I've got it all up here now, so we're all going to be good. So I've got to jump to this, and then the feedback here. So this is from the last show I did last week. Lee was having a pussy cold, wouldn't you, Lee?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to do a World War III show. I thought, why not get it out there? This is from Troy. So Troy says, so I spoke about the debate with Trump versus Harris, and how Harris did particularly better than everyone thought she would. Still not particularly great, but Trump, to me, he's not doing himself any favours, because after the debate he come out and said, well, she wants another debate, but I'm not going to do another debate because the only reason she wants one is because I destroyed her this time. So she wants another chance. If I destroyed someone, I'd definitely debate him again. Simple as that. So it just sounded like crap to me. So anyway, Troy says, Chlamydia Harris has had the questions given to her by a sorority sister who acted as the moderator. I will agree Trump didn't look great, but Harris never answered a question. No, he's right. As for Russia and World War III, I say fuck Ukraine. Russia can turn it into a parking lot for all I care. Take care of your country first, not others. I mean, I won't take out my neighbour's rubbish and leave mine to pile up. There you go. On that note, I will definitely sit in a white room and have a Baby Shark play on repeat for 500k. Yeah, so the dilemma was last week. I don't know if you know this, Lee, but I was asking people, did you hear it? I was asking people if they would sit in a room, so there can either be a bin man for 30 grand a year, but work fucking hard, still Monday to Friday, weekends off, but really the most disgusting street in the world being a bin man, or sit in a white room watching an empty car park on a screen with nothing, no phone, no book, no nothing, just your worst song you hate playing on repeat, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, for 500k. Which would you pick? So that's what people are going to be referring to in these comments.
You would go fucking mental if you'd done that in a white room.
I'm saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You definitely would.
Yeah. I would go bin man.
I would go mad, so I would pick the bin man, if I had to. Yeah. So this is Catherine. So this is Bo. So Bo says, "You are a clown. Unfortunately, at this stage, I'm not prepared to commit to either of those dilemma options. I need time to do my own research. You're useless. Thanks for the show." And then, oh look, it's Sorry Steve here.
Sorry, Stevie.
I'm broke, so I'll do the 500 grand job for 1 year and then I'd leave.
Hey, what are you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
So that was the feedback from Spotify last week. Got one from the week before. This is from Monkey. This is Jake Miller. Every time Matt talks about hating hero worship, I wonder how he would feel about my Whatcast shrine. Haha, just kidding. Awesome episode. There you go. So, and then, but I needed to read this out. So I did a Hugh Edwards YouTube. So I'm doing quite a lot of YouTubes lately. Anyone that's what looks like little shows, little rants, what of the weeks or whatever, things like that, jump over there, give us some support. This person has troubled me deeply in the comments section. So I was literally saying he's got away with it. People get prison sentences for bad speech online. And this person's wrote this. He hasn't got away with anything. This is Hansi's Ma 16 or something. He hasn't got away with anything. He's lost his career and his name is mud. Due to the Tories, he can't go to prison. Men all over the country are doing similar or worse. Find me a man who doesn't watch schoolgirl porn. That's the response.
What?
Literally enabling, that is, right? That's what I call enabling. He's lost everything with this.
Who doesn't watch schoolgirl porn.
And say you did, like say if you was into that, right?
Yeah.
Is there many men that watch schoolgirl porn when someone's pretending to be a 6 or 7 year old?
No.
No.
Why would you even want to watch that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know whether this is a male or female. I think the picture suggests female. I'm not sure, but it's an AVI. It's not an actual photo. But for someone's had a really bad experience with men or something like that, but you're literally saying all men are secretly this, so why would he be punished more? It sounds like you're enabling by saying, bless him, he didn't get away with anything. Yeah. Then you've had a dig at the Tories. Who cares about politics in this story at all? It's irrelevant, right? Both parties are crap, so whatever. And then they're saying men are doing worse. This person, this is why I can't stand this kind of thing, whether he physically did anything or not. It's people like him paying for images of children that is enabling the abuse. Because without the money, there is no abuse. People are abusing because people are paying to watch the abuse. Yeah. Supporting that or saying it's not a big deal because men watch schoolgirl porn. If they're watching schoolgirl porn, the people in the schoolgirl porn are of age, right? Mm. It's just a stupid kink. That's it. There isn't actual school boys or girls of 6 or 7 that men are sitting around watching. I fucking hope not anyway, right?
No. If she's saying that's normal, then
I was gonna I didn't respond because I didn't want to get into it with this person. But I wrote back and then deleted. Well, here's one. I don't watch schoolgirl porn, but then I thought, you know what? I can't be bothered to get into a back and forth with this person because
it's not worth it.
Because then other people are joining, and then your videos start getting reported because. And it was, I can't even go into it on here, by the way. I was about to talk about something. Someone was talking about minor attractive people and supporting that as well. So I wanted to read that. That wasn't to do with last week's show. But let's do the dilemma, and we'll get on to the Patreon hate of the week. So the dilemma this week, I'm keeping it ghost related, right? Let's get this off the screen. Just bring us back in. So I'm keeping it ghost related. The dilemma this week is your choice. So you can either have a job in an office, I don't know where, but it's 2 hours to get there, 2 hours to get, so a 4-hour round trip every week, right? Every day, sorry. Monday to Friday to do an office job. I don't know what the pay, standard pay, I suppose, whatever, not particularly good, not particularly bad. So you've got the same job as what you'd have in the other dilemma, but in a faraway place, 2 hours, you can't move any closer to it. It's like a big long trip, so it's a long day to and from the office. Or you can work from home doing the same job but be continuously bothered by a bored poltergeist. What would you pick? Really?
Definitely, yeah.
Well, you would work from home with a ghost lobbing things at you all day rather than travelling?
Yes, do you know why?
Because you'd get paper plates.
No, because it'd give me a reason not to fucking work. Because
I couldn't get anything done today, Gov. I was getting the poltergeist was here again.
Yeah.
It's like constantly slinging. It's like you get your laptop out and he'll chuck it across the room or something.
That's right, I'll glue it to the desk.
But it is tempting. You think I work from home, like it's a no-brainer. But then when you think, could you though? Because you don't get haunted other than in work hours. So you can come home from work in the evening, poltergeist ain't there.
No, I'll find it fun. I'll think, right, poltergeist can haunt me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about if you started scratching you and lobbing you down the stairs and shit, like Sallie? What about if every time you was trying to do a Zoom call with your boss, you got this?
Hey, what you doing down there, Aunt Sally?
What is my Aunt Sally doing down there anyway?
I know. So you're saying, regardless of what the poltergeist did, you're working from home?
Absolutely. I think I'll have a much more interesting day.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because what I'll do is, in my lunch break, I'll go out for a walk or go somewhere for an hour.
No, it still bothers you on your walk. That's part of the deal. Because you worked from home and chose that, you still get bothered on your walk.
I'll use it to my advantage. I'll go to Asda, and it will probably pick up a load of shit that I want, and then I'll walk out. It'll still hold it, expecting to throw it at me when I get home.
Yeah.
And it'll throw it at me, and I'll just put it all in the cupboard.
Thanks for shopping. Oh, man. Right.
Free.
Okay, right. Okay, well, that'll do for this show this week then. So we're going to close it down. Then we're going to jump over to Patreon. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. Please give us the feedback. Try and get some new feedback this week. It's the same people all the time. Same people that do the feedback. Please do it again because we like hearing what you think of these shows. But new people, make yourself. There's 2 new patrons this week I've never heard of, so let yourselves be known. Give a bit of feedback. I'll also, Stevie, just want to say in the Patreon, I'll just say something earlier on in the Patreon chat room. She suggested watching something that the 2 brothers that killed their parents. 9-part. I've started watching it tonight, so thanks for the suggestion. Sorry, Stevie, and I'm on it. We could probably do a show on it. I don't know what it's called, The Monsters or something.
Oh, right, okay.
It's just come on Netflix now. It's on there, and it popped up today, so I've started watching that. But it's 9 parts, but it's like a drama. It's not a documentary, but it's a true story. Right, cheers. Right, everybody, see you later. We're going to jump over to Patreon now, get a hate of the week done, and adios. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Whatcast. Follow us on social media at Whatcast or Whatcast Podcast, or email us at whatcast@gmail.com. even if it don't affect your wages.
What's your fire extinguisher?
I know it's under the sink. I forgot it.